Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be the first video in another series I'm going to be doing. This is going to be a shorter series on how to use SQLite with Python. So using Python to manipulate your SQLite databases. So in order to do all of this, first you need to make sure that SQLite is installed on your computer. Now I'm using a Mac, so the easiest way to do this is to use Homebrew. So basically you're going to install Homebrew. So all you're going to do is need to copy, you're going to go to their website. I'll leave a link in the description. And then all you're going to do is get here and copy this code and then paste it into your terminal. And then once you do that, then SQLite will be installed. So in order to run our SQL commands with Python, we're going to be using the SQLite3 library. So this library is included with the standard Python package when you install Python onto your system. So you should already have it, but I am going to leave a link to the website with all the documentation. If you need any additional help, you can definitely use that as a resource. So once you have SQLite installed onto your system, you can get started with using Python to execute your SQLite commands. So to get started, we're going to start by importing the SQLite3 library. So we're just going to do import SQLite3. And the next thing we're going to do is to create a connection. So we're going to use the connect function that is part of the SQLite3 library to connect to a database or to create a new database if one doesn't already exist. So I'm just going to save this in connect. And then we're going to do SQLite3.connect. And then in brackets and in quotes, we're going to do the name of the database. So I'm just creating a new one. I'm going to call it employee.db. So once you've created the connection object, we're going to need to create a cursor object, and that is going to allow us to execute commands or queries in the database. So I'm just going to call it cur, and that's going to be equal to con.cursor. And you're basically going to need to do these first two lines of code every single time you are connecting to the database to do some type of query in it. Or if you're creating a database or if you're creating tables, you're going to need to make sure that you have those two lines of code typed up first. So in addition to creating the database, I'm also going to create a table at the same time. So to create a table, I'm going to first kind of type up my create table statement, and I'm going to save it in a variable called create_table. So I'm just going to type create table equals to, and I'm going to type up my statement in triple quotes just so that I can type it out into multiple lines. So I'm going to start out by using the create table statement. So I'm going to type out create table, and I want my table to be called employees. And then in brackets, I'm going to type out all of the variables or the columns that are going to be in my table. So I'm going to have something called employment ID, and that's going to be an integer. And I also want this to be the primary key. And then first name. And that's going to be text. Last name. The text as well. And then job title. And that's going to be text. So I just forgot to add key over there. So I have my create table employees. The employee ID is integer, and that's going to be a primary key. I have first name as text, last name as text, and then job title as text. So once all of this is typed out, we're going to want to execute our create table statement. So to do that, we're going to call the cursor dot execute, and then in brackets, I'm going to type out this variable name that our table is in. So create table. And I'm also just going to do a print statement just to tell me that the table has been created, just to make sure that everything ran properly. So once we've executed our table, we need to commit the changes to the database. So to do that, we're going to call the cursor and then dot commit. And then we need to close our connection after that. So con.close. So we're just going to run this command, and then our database and our table is going to be created. So now that I've run that command, I'm just going to open up my database using SQLite Studio just to kind of like show you how everything worked and visualize what the database looks like. So you can see the employees database as well as that employees table that we created. I'm just going to type out select everything from employees. And then I'm going to run that. And obviously our table is empty right now, but you can see that employee ID, first name, last name, and job title. So next, I'm probably going to do this in a different video, but I'm going to show you guys how to insert data into the table using SQLite3 with Python, and then we'll go into inserting data from a CSV file, and then how to like alter tables and query select statements from within Python as well. So if you have any other questions or any other ideas for tutorials as part of this series, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys next time. And also, all the resources for this video will be linked down in the description box. So all the code for this video, as well as how to download SQLite onto your computer from Homebrew that we walked through earlier on, and just any other resources like that.